All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about a massive shift in global power. But this isn't about armies or tech, it's about something way more fundamental, food. And right at the center of it all, Brazil, and a new alliance that's growing bigger by the day.
And look, this might seem like a huge, far-off question, but what's happening thousands of miles away has a direct line to the food in your grocery store and the prices you pay. So what on earth is going on?
So where does this all start? Well, it begins with an alliance you've probably heard of, but one that's been quietly turning into a global heavyweight.
Right. So you might know them as BRICS, just 5 countries, but recently they've gotten a major upgrade. By adding key players from all over the world, it's become BRICS Plus, and their goal is pretty simple and pretty bold, to build a new world order that doesn't rely so much on the traditional Western powers.
Just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, when you add up all the new members and their partners, BRICS Plus now represents more than half of the entire world's population. Just let that sink in for a second. Over half.
And if you look at the long-term picture, it's even more dramatic. This isn't just a blip. The projections show that by 2050, almost 5 billion people will live in these countries. You know, feeding that many people isn't just a challenge, it's a source of incredible geopolitical power.
So you might be wondering, just how dominant are they in farming right now? Well, the numbers are pretty staggering. They control 42% of the world's farmland and grow almost half of the planet's essential grains. Their slice of the global agro-trade is already nearly 20%, and it's getting bigger. This is a real, bona fide agricultural superpower.
And right in the middle of this superpower, one country is stepping up to take the driver's seat.
Yep, in 2025, Brazil takes over the BRICS presidency. And you can bet their top priority is going to be using their agricultural muscle to strengthen the bloc's position on the world stage. Brazil is the engine here. But, and this is a big but, it's an engine that's got some serious issues.
Just to give you a sense of what we're talking about, look at this. If you want to do something as simple as starting a business in Brazil, well, good luck. The bureaucracy is so famous it can take over a month, and that's if you're lucky. It's a country with massive potential, but also mountains of paperwork.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. As Claudia Nunez, an expert on this stuff, says, you can expect red tape everywhere. From labor laws to taxes, it's just incredibly complicated. There are no shortcuts. That's just the reality of doing business there.
But, and here's the twist, despite all those headaches, Brazil's raw power is just undeniable. And if you want to see it in action, you really only have to look at one place. So you've got to ask, how does a country with so much red tape still manage to be a global export giant? The answer lies in huge, world-class infrastructure. And the perfect example is the Port of Santos.
Get this. In 2023 alone, this one port handled 173 million tons of cargo. I mean, that's a number so big it's almost impossible to picture.
So what does that actually mean for the country? It means this one port is the gateway for nearly a third of all of Brazil's international trade. You really can't overstate how important it is.
And this isn't just some big regional port. We're talking about a critical piece of the entire global shipping puzzle. It's the biggest in Latin America, linking Brazil to literally every corner of the globe. This place is the beating heart of the country's agricultural power.
Okay, so we've got this powerful bloc. We've got this agricultural giant leading the charge. So what's the game plan? How are they going to actually use all this power?
Well, thanks to a big new report from a think tank called Inspir Agro Global, we actually have a pretty clear idea. They've laid out this ambitious 8-point plan, and it's basically a blueprint for turning all this potential into a real functioning system.
And the plan is really smart. It's got practical stuff, like restoring farmland to grow more food and using digital tech to cut through all that red tape we talked about. But then you get to the real game changers, creating their own grain exchange, which means they can set their own prices, and setting up a shared food reserve. That would let them handle food crises all on their own, without needing any help from traditional global organizations.
Okay, let's pull all this together. What does a stronger, more coordinated BRICS plus agricultural bloc actually mean for the rest of us, and for you?
When you boil it all down, the goal is crystal clear. They want to build a parallel food system, one that's self-sufficient, that can handle its own problems, and that operates by its own rules. This is basically a fundamental rewiring of the global map of agriculture. And that brings us right back to where we started. As this new agricultural superpower comes into its own, we're left with a huge question. Will all this coordination actually make the global food supply more stable for everybody? Or are we just watching them draw new lines in the sand, creating a world where food becomes just another weapon in a global competition? The answer to that is going to shape the future of food for all of us.